Hey everyone, this is Shawn Powell with Traffic Monsoon. I wanted to talk about something just a little bit, y'all. You know, I'm really thinking of 3 different ways here for someone to make it in online business, and I want you to stick with me and listen to what I'm trying to tell you. Okay? One is going to be a personal story of someone I personally know that accomplished something, and how he accomplished it and why he accomplished it. And then I'm going to talk about something through history that's basically the exact same thing. Now they're entirely different, but they're still the same thing. And then I'm going to talk about, how, to be honest, how I got free from a job and made it. And so all 3 of these things have something in common. So I want you to just listen to this, okay? When I was about, I guess I was probably about 21, 22 years old. I'm 43 now. And I was in restaurants working a lot of hours. But I was excited. I was still new to restaurants. I hadn't worn myself out. I knew that was my future. I loved the business I was doing at that time. It was easy for me. I could close my eyes and run that restaurant. Could not have been any happier. And to be honest, I wouldn't have looked online business at that time no matter what, because I was happy. You understand what I'm saying? Going in that direction. But I had met a guy. I was into video games a little bit, starting to that time. And yeah, PlayStation and stuff was pretty big at that time. I met a guy. He was really, really sharp. I'm talking this guy was extremely sharp. And he was at a flea mall, right? And he was in the very, very back of the flea mall. Now this guy dressed nice. His hair, he looked like California. If you could just picture what someone successful would look like from California. What was he doing in a flea mall in the back of, here in North Carolina? And his name was Don, and I really liked the guy. He seemed so sharp. He was pleasant, and but all he had was a table that they gave him at the flea mall, and a big blue bucket. One of those boxes buckets that not buckets, but like storage, has a lid on it that you can put another one, storage on top of it, and it was full of video games. This is where I met this guy, right? He looked like a fish out of water. He was not in his comfort zone, I could tell it, but he was so likable. You know what I'm saying? And I started talking to him, and I think he could sense that I knew something was up with this guy. And he told me that his wife was pregnant with twins, and that he got fired from his job. He was working as one of the managers for Snapple. He was big up in the industry. And Snapple, I don't know. I really don't know nothing about it now. I don't drink it. But I knew at that time it was pretty big, pretty popular. And, y'all, he taken what little bit of money he still had, and he had an idea in his mind. And his wife was actually for it. Someone who just lost their job don't normally go buy a box of video games and go to a flea mall, you know what I'm saying? But he had something in his mind at that time, and it's a lot different now than what it was then. It was really a hot item back then, And the location might have been good. It might have been a really good location in time for him to try to be thinking this. But I watched him, and the guy's personality and the way he would stick his hand out and greet you, he was just so much more than a flea mall guy. You know what I'm saying? I could sense that from the first time I saw him. From the weeks to come, I dated a girl. She loved antiques, so we were constantly going into flea malls and stuff like that, and antique stores and stuff. And I would actually go out of my way to go see him, to see how he was doing. And his wife's name was Susie, same name as the girl I was dating at that time. And so I always remembered her name, spelt the same way and everything. But over that period of time, I started watching him, and people started feeling the same way I did. This guy was not normal. You know what I'm saying? Something about him was very unusual. And so, the next thing I know, probably in the months to come, he was no longer in that corner in the very back. He had one of the better spots near the center of the store. I don't know how or why or whatever, it worked out like that. He had put up walls inside the place. He had music going. It just did not look like a flea mall. He never treat it as just a flea mall. You understand what I'm saying? I could tell he was doing exactly what he saw in his mind that needed to be done, and I didn't see it. I don't think anybody saw it at that time. I'd never seen anybody do this, right? Well, I was proud of him. He was always the sharpest guy when you went there. You know what I'm saying? I walked in, I smiled, and I know that sounds crazy, but he would get Japanese import games for me, where Japanese would get a game 6 months before they come to the United States. And because of our friendship, he would get them for me. And, and I had to rig my PlayStation back in the day to play it. But he was the only person that was willing to do stuff like that. And nobody would do that for me. There's no chance of me doing something like that. eBay, I don't even know if that was around that time, to be honest. I don't think it was. He was willing to do things for me, and I'm sure other people, because he knew that I was going to talk good about him. You know what I'm saying? That was in the back of his mind. He needed that exposure. Maybe that's what he was thinking, But over the years, I went to another restaurant, and so I moved away from there. I didn't ever get to see him anymore. And to be honest, didn't think a whole lot more about it. I was so busy in my life, and the girl I was dating and blah, 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 another girl actually at that time. And so I moved to Greenville. Me and the girl I was dating decided to go to the fairgrounds. It was a big flea mall at a big thing at the Raleigh Fairgrounds. And there he was. This was years later, y'all. I'm guessing probably at least 3 years later. The guy looked just as sharp as the first time I saw him, right? I know we had cell phones back then because he was using cell phones, and people were asking for games, and he still was in the flea malls. I want you to listen to this. But he had over 20, I forgot how many, man. It was like 20-some locations between stores and flea malls. And he was organized, using cell phones to have the people send games to certain stores for certain people. It was ridiculous how organized he was. And he was making so much more money than he was working at Snapple as a general manager. Whatever he was doing as the manager department, whatever it was. And I was proud of him. I was young then. He was much older than me. But I was proud of him because I saw that. And I think I was smart enough to see every bit of it and understood what happened. The guy had his retreat cut off. He had nowhere else to go, but he had an idea. And y'all, would he have ever done it if it didn't happen? You know what I'm saying? So it took situations to throw him in the corner where he had no way out, and that's exactly what he did, and that's how he acted. And he fought for it, and he made it work. Okay, now think about that. I want you to think about what he's saying. Now, during time of war, y'all, this is all through centuries and centuries. Let me see if I ain't got a picture here. I may have it a little farther down. I want to talk about this just for a second. Okay, obviously, boats was one of the major sources of going from one country or, from one civilization to another, and at times of war, right? Let's see if I can't find it. It should be right here below. Okay, I want you to look at this, y'all. In 351 BC, 296, 363, 711, 1066, 1169, 1519, it actually kept on going. I only just showed the first 10. What all these things had in common over the centuries, y'all, is that there were great battles that were won because the commander in charge would simply not allow or even leave it as an option to retreat. What they would literally do, y'all, is they would burn the boats when they got there, and they would not even allow it to be a retreat. And many of those times, y'all, and many of those wars, they were outnumbered severely, but there was no option. There was no other way. And they won many wars because of the fact that they took away that retreat. You understand what I'm saying? How much harder would you fight if you know there is no way back? There is no going home if I don't go forward. You understand what I'm saying? And that is the motivation. Now, I'm not saying I want to be sitting on that side. That'd be a rough road to be taken, y'all, especially if you're outnumbered severely. And they often used the war itself by burning the boats to their benefit. And in some scenarios, the people actually thought that they had arrived through the dark clouds of smoke because they couldn't see them coming. You see what I'm saying? The smoke itself. But, to me, it's absolutely incredible to think that, somebody that's in charge would literally take away all retreat as not even an option so that they have to go forward. And because of that, there were so many more battles won because of they literally had no option. There was no other choice about it. So I wanted you to kind of think about that. The guy I was talking about the flea mall earlier, he was backed into the corner. His wife's pregnant with twins, literally. And I just, I really think about him more so now that I'm in online business than I did throughout the years, And I wanted to share that with you because of the fact that, you've got to learn to think the right way. And there's going to be either you're going to be blocked off into the corner to where you have no retreat, and then you have to do nothing but fight. You've got to. There's nothing left. And I think success can come from that, but that takes life taking place around you to make it happen. You see what I'm saying? Now, would it really take that? No, because it was the same person. You already had it in you in the first place to make it. You just didn't think right. You weren't motivated. Do you see what I'm saying? You didn't have those goals and motivation that you needed to move forward because you had to. You had no choice. You had no choice. Now, in most cases, I'm going to mention a lady. Her name is Karen Petty. And when I first came into online business, I know she was almost to the point of losing where she was renting at, the house that she was staying at. And she came into online business, y'all, and she took action, severe action. And it worked for her. Why? Because she had no way out. She was blocked in. And that's what I'm saying. But it's that same action that takes place that needs to be required for you to make it. You don't have to wait until something locks you in the corner that you can't get out and have to fight and then make it work. Honestly, y'all, I had a burn inside of me so bad that I couldn't sleep. You know what I'm saying? And my little boy was a little boy, he's laying there asleep. I'm laying beside him. I got to work the next day, y'all. And I've been up till 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, if not even later than that, And here I am laying in bed. I'm like, I wonder if I do this, or maybe I should look this up. And I can't sleep. I'm scared I was going to lose that thought. So I'd get up and go look it up on the computer. The burn in my belly, it helped my gears turn into my brain. And shortly after, y'all, I can tell you this, I learned that I didn't have a way out with my job. I've been doing something for 26 years, and that there was really no end in sight. 43 years old, where was it going to end? You know what I'm saying? And I didn't really know that because I was doing good compared to who I don't know, but other people around me, my employees, I guess. I was doing good. I could pay the bills. I had some money in the bank, but that was it. How far is that going to really tote me? And I thank God I had that burn in my belly, because if you've got enough of that, y'all, it's the same mentality. It's that same motivation that you bring inside of yourself that'll get you from point A to point B. The same way that Don did in his flea mall. I would give anything for someone that had pictures of Don sitting in there in that back corner with nothing but that wooden table. It wasn't even a good table. And that blue box, that bright blue, about that same color blue box, if you know what I'm talking about, with a lid on it that had games in it, and that's all he had. That to me motivates me. It motivates me now more than it did when I seen it happening. So I just wanted to share that with y'all, just to let you know, y'all, you've got what it takes to make it inside of you. So many of y'all are just playing with it. Look, if you've made $1 in Traffic Monsoon, if you know in the clear you've made a little money, $1 in Traffic Monsoon, then you know it's real. You know that it's real. There's no excuses for not going apeshit big in your business. I hate to say it, but that's just a fact. You are the only thing stopping you, and you're stopping other people too. I'm going to tell you, last thing I'm going to say here, Chuck Bolle, or Charles, you might know him as either way. The guy, older gentleman, doing YouTube. He's really good at what he did. Didn't always do YouTube the way to say to do it, but he showed people he believed in the business, and maybe he talked too much, about like me. I tell people until I'm done, and when it's done, I'm done. You know, YouTube tells you after 4 minutes they start dropping off. Maybe so, but someone somewhere is going to hear what I had to say in the latter part, and they're going to hang around and hear it. That's how Charles looked at it, and it worked for him. But if it wasn't for him getting out there, taking action, and doing a YouTube video on a search that I did, and I don't even know how it happened. I came up with him like a week or 2 weeks later after I'd done a search. And I heard that man say a couple things that hit home with me. And I went down that rabbit hole, and it changed my life. Some of y'all, you're blocking that. You're not letting it happen. No one's ever going to hear that from you. And you're not going to change your life or anyone else's. I can't help but think that God would appreciate you saying, you know, if you got something inside, you say it, man. Get it out. It's like being in love and not telling somebody. It's pure poisoning yourself. When you believe in your business, if you're not opening your mouth, you're killing yourself. A man without vision is going to perish. You know, expectations, y'all. Expectations. 20% of the Bible is based on expectations. Anyhow, that's really what I had in mind. I just wanted to talk about that a little bit, and I'd just done a couple, things, post on Traffic Monsoon Action Takers, my little Facebook group, and I want my people to learn to think the right way. You already understand you're the right person. You don't have to wait for circumstances to take place. You can have that circumstances take place because you made it take place. You don't have to have something bad happen. So, y'all, if you are not in Traffic Monsoon, you need to be in it. Point blank, period. If you're looking around, if you thought about it, just get in it. Just go ahead and get in it. Even if you don't know what it's about yet, get in it. Go to our Facebook group. Get around the right kind of people. Don't do anything. I stayed there for 2 days and sat in the Facebook group and asked questions before I ever did anything. Thank God I had Rosa Pena and, Kenneth Hassler. They weren't even my upline, but they were there to answer my questions. If it weren't for them, y'all, I don't even know if I would have figured it out and would have kept going at that time. Thank God. You know what I'm saying? Changed my life. So if you're not in Traffic Monsoon, click the link down below, y'all. We're going to get you started. If you're in Traffic Monsoon and you need to know how to make pages that will help people go through to your business, maybe how to brand yourself or use share codes and stuff like that, we've got all that in there for you also. Be tickled to help you out. Appreciate it.